Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Oluwatosin. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a button-down t-shirt with hidden flap. So come along with me, let's get started. So basically what I'm making in this video today is a shirt dress, a long shirt dress with a length 54 inches. That is what I'm making in this video. So the first thing I did here is to mark out 1 inch, which will serve as the start line. The 1 inch I'll rule through to serve as the start line. Then I'll go ahead to mark the shoulder measurements. Here I'm using 8 inches, which is 16 inches divided by 2. That's my shoulder measurement. Then I went down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then I'll rule through in a slant manner. After this, I went down by 9 inches for my armhole measurements. 9 inches, that is what I use for my armhole measurements. Once I was done with that, I divided my armhole measurements into two. Then I went in by 1 inch and I made a curve round to join everything together, just to form the armhole measurement. I just want you to know that this is the back of the dress that I'm cutting first, not the front. This is the back. I chose to cut the back front so that I will use the back to cut the front. Now I checked in for my neck measurements. That was what I chalked initially, neck measurements, which I used 2 inches for the back. I used 2 inches by just half an inch for the neck measurement. You see it later. Then I went down to get my waist measurements, which I use quarter of my waist measurement plus 2 inches, quarter of my waist measurement plus 2 inches, 1 inch for sewing allowance, 1 inch for ease allowance. That was what I chalked there. I also went ahead to chalk my bust measurement. I used quarter of my bust measurement plus 2 inches, quarter of my bust measurement for 2 inches, 1 inch for sewing allowance, 1 inch for ease allowance. Then I joined everything. I connected all the lines that I chalked. Here I went down from my waist measurement by 8 inches in order to get the hip point. I went down by 8 inches. Then I also did the same thing that I'd been doing with the other measurements. My hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches, quarter of my hip measurement. Then I added 2 inches, 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch ease allowance, 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch for ease allowance. After that, I checked the full length of the outfit that I was making, the full length of the dress, which is 54 inches. Then the hip measurements that I used, I would also put the same thing down, but I removed 2 inches. So I used 13 for my hip measurements, but here I'm using 11 inches because I don't want it to be too big. I will cut it by the side for ease of movement. Then I just joined everything together and I went ahead to cut it. Here I used 2.5 inches by just half an inch. I know I said 2 inches earlier, but I used 2.5 inches eventually by just half an inch, just a little for the back measurements. It's not supposed to be too much. So here I placed the back piece for me to cut the front piece. So please take note that in this video we are making invisible button plackets. That is why I use 6 inches for the excess. So that excess you are seeing in this video is 6 inches for the invisible button placket. The idea here is that the button will not show. That is the whole essence of this invisible button placket, is to not show when you wear it. For the front neck measurements, I went down by the width measurement is 2.5 inches, same with the back. Then I also used 2.5 inches for the length. But after making the dress, I realized that the 2 inches, 2.5 inches that I chalked there was too small and it was too tight for me. Some people can wear it like that, but I felt it was too tight and it was choking me. So I reduced it to 4 inches. So I used 4 inches in total, 2.5 inches for the width measurement and 4 inches for the length measurement. We have gotten to the most important part of this video, and I want you to watch very closely. So here, out of the 6 inches, I I folded half an inch here, just the normal way you fold for t-shirts. I folded half an inch and I ironed it down. However, this fabric I'm using is a thick crepe fabric. This fabric I use is not iron friendly at all. So no matter how I try to iron it, it's not iron friendly. It did not stay the way I wanted it to stay. However, so just let's just continue like that. I pinned it down eventually. I had to use pin. After folding the half inch, I folded 1.5 inch again. I folded half inch initially, then I folded 1.5 inch. So here please watch closely what I'm doing. I had initially folded to the back, but here I am folding to the front. I folded it to the front twice. Just see it. I folded it once, then I folded it again. If you don't understand, just keep watching how I did it. I'll still repeat it. Now, when you are done folding it with your iron, just turn it to the middle and sew down by the middle. Now, when you are sewing by the middle, it is supposed to hold everything together. When you are sewing, but just watch where I'm pointing to. That is where you are going to sew. The other side of the t-shirt, which is the front piece, I'm going to be reducing the measurements. You know that I use 6 inches for the other parts. I cut out 6 inches for both parts, but I only need that 6 inches for one of the pieces in front. The other piece I'm going to sew it like a normal t-shirt. So I'll be reducing the measurements there. I'll remove 3 inches and I'll fold 3 inches like a normal t-shirt. So guys, we are getting to the end of this video. It's time to cut the sleeve. If you have watched to this end, thank you so much. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel, share, and switch on the notification bell.